So hello everyone, my name is Zoelle Rose and I am coming to you live from southern Germany. Now I have been here in Germany for 7 years. 7 years. To say I've got a 7-year itch is the understatement of the millennium. In fact, it is more like I am surrounded by a swarm of mosquitoes and I would crawl out of my own skin just to get out of here. Now don't get me wrong. There are wonderful things about living in Germany. For example, it is relatively clean, it is orderly, and it is relatively safe. Now, I never have to worry when I'm out doing my grocery shopping that I'm going to get accosted by some crazed lunatic with a semi-automatic weapon. But with that comes a lot of reduction in personal freedoms. For example, we have a law in Germany that between the hours of 12 and 2 p.m., everybody has to be absolutely quiet. Ruhezeit, quiet time. And the theory is that someone, somewhere in Germany is trying to take a nap during their lunch break, and we all have to get together and make sure he's able to do that. Now they have another law in Germany that your dog cannot bark for longer than 10 minutes. What do they do to the dog who doesn't stop barking at 10 minutes? Sorry, Rover, that's it, gotta take you in. Yeah, everybody has to conform in Germany. And this shows up also in the clothing. Now, there are no half sizes in shoes in Germany. Which means if you take a half size like I do, your shoes are never going to fit properly. You're either hobbling along with your toes crunched up into shoes that are too small, or you're flapping around in shoes that are too big. And then there is the phenomenon of the one size fits all. Who's the fit model for one size fits all? When I see that on a garment, I read tent. Now, they grow pretty large in Germany. The first few male friends I had were about 6'9". Yeah, that was my own private birch tree forest. But the women also tend to be tall and also pretty stout. Now, I'm not here to body shame or fat shame anybody. Everybody finds their own comfort zone. And in fact, if you go back into history, the ideal for feminine beauty was usually full-figured, buxom woman. Go into a museum, look at those old Italian Renaissance paintings, and you see these naked women sprawled out across the canvas, right, usually being ravished by a swan or a bull. And they are shamelessly flaunting rolls of belly fat or solid cellulite-packed thighs. Go a little further back, and you find these old ancient fertility goddesses, rounded shapes with huge breasts, because this is the shape that is going to bring forth and nurture life. It's only like in the 1960s or so that all of a sudden you get this ideal for women that we should be as thin as a pencil. So thin that you turn sideways, you can slip right through a rent in the space-time continuum and end up in a parallel universe. Anybody out there can eat whatever they want and not gain weight? Now me, I have to work very, very hard to maintain what would be considered a medically normal weight. And what for? I go into a German department store and the sizes start at 40, which is the equivalent of a size 10. I take a 34, which is a size 2. And the odd time I do manage to find a garment in my size. I try it on, and it's a tent. And it's the same with the bras. Now, the German women tend to be pretty buxom. Now me, well, I mean, I started out as a B. There's nothing to write home about, but there they are, greeting the world. 30 years later with jogging, and, I go to the kitty department for a trainer bra. Why do they call it a trainer bra? Are they training us to grow breasts? The German language is also very, very ancient. In fact, have you heard of the Neanderthal men? Now, the Neanderthal is actually a place. Right along the Rhine River, up around Dusseldorf and Cologne, is the Neander Valley, the Neanderthal. And the language, sometimes when you listen to it, sounds like it could also have come from that time period. For example, very small word units. So let's say you've lost your keys and somebody says they're over there. They're going to say da. Da. Let's compare that other side of the Rhine River. They're going to say laba. Laba. Da. Laba. And another word in German for let's get going. Los. Los. Other side of the Rhine River. Allons-y. On y va. Los. On y va. And then they take these small word units and they string them together to make more sophisticated concepts. So, for example, my favorite word in German is the word Eisprung, which translates as egg jump, and that is the German word for ovulation. Very pictorial language. Okay, so you've got to imagine it. Eggs jumping out of the ovaries, down into the fallopian tube. Out it goes. And sometimes you string these words together and you get words that are virtually unpronounceable, like half-flicked. 11 letters, 2 vowels. Sorry, did I spray you there? But the word that most English speakers have the most fun with in German is the word for travel. Infinitive form is fahren. Conjugate that to the third person singular and you get fahrt. And the first time I heard that, I turned to my male German friend and said to him, how can you say that with a straight face? And he looked at me, horrified, as if I were the most vulgar creature he'd ever set eyes on. And then he ate a Snickers bar with a knife and fork. Now, you are never going to find Germany on the lists of happiest places in the world. Not there. Everybody's following the rules in Germany. Everybody's doing tests because of it. And they also feel compelled, if somebody's not quite following the rules, they want to help them improve themselves so that they can better fit into the German society. So, for example, I was standing on a street corner, just waiting to cross when the light was going to change, and there's a woman standing fairly close by, and she starts getting very agitated, and she's looking at me and making strange faces, and very nervous looking, and finally she can't contain herself any longer, and she bursts forth and she says, "Da! It would be better for me if you would stand over there." And I'm like, it would be better for me if you would fuck off and mind your own business. But where this comes to its fullest expression is in the supermarkets. Now you go into a German supermarket and the employees are the kings and queens of their domain. Okay, you go to the cash register, that's their kingdom. Now you're supposed to be like a little peon in a German supermarket. You go in and out, get your groceries as fast as possible. You want to hold anything up? So, for example, you go into Aldi, there's not much counter space after the cash register, so you have to master the art of paying and packing your groceries at the same time so that you can be finished with the entire thing at the same time as you manage to put your change away in your wallet, right? And if you don't manage to accomplish this, all the people behind you on the line are going to start huffing and puffing and going, "Oh my God, she's taking so long. Doesn't she know we like to do things efficiently in Germany?" Well, one day, I didn't manage to accomplish this. I dropped a coin. Silence. And the cashier turns to me and helpfully tries to instruct me on how I can better utilize her cashier station the next time I come shopping at Aldi. Jawohl, Herr Kommandant. But then there's one cashier who refuses to take the money when you hand it to her directly. Now, normally this is a very civil transaction. Give them the money, you get your change. This one, you hand her your money, and she goes, "Da!" She wants you to hand her your money from the end of that counter space. And I'm like, 9. And she says, "Da!" I said, 9. "Da! 9. Da! 9. And finally, she's getting all red in the face and having an apoplexy. And I start speaking to her in English, and I say, "Why on earth are you being so unreasonable? Nobody in the world asked somebody else to do this." And she starts having an apoplexy, and she screams out, "Wir sprechen Deutsch here in Deutschland. Ich verstehe kein English." Which means to say, she speaks German. She doesn't understand English. And I say, "But I speak English." And she says, "Deutsch." And I say, "English, Deutsch, English." Finally, she had to relent and take my money. Anyway, thank you all so much for listening. Los.